Welcome to Taking Turns, the Guilford County podcast where we talk about people, programs, and services that make a difference in our community. Today, we are joined by Laurie Jones, Guilford County Social Services Division Director. She's here to help us learn more about elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation, what that looks like, and how protective services help, and what we can all do to support and protect older adults and vulnerable adults in Guilford County. Laurie, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming. I'm excited to learn about all of the things today. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your title, and how you got into this kind of work.
Well, as you mentioned, my name is Laurie Jones, and I am actually a native of Guilford County, born and raised here. Attended public schools right here in Greensboro, left and went off to college at Shaw University and then graduate school at North Carolina Central. My academic background is actually criminal justice.
Oh, wow, mine too.
Yes.
Very cool.
So I came into social work in a different way than most come into social work. I want to think I actually cut my teeth on social work in my home. I was raised by my paternal grandparents. And my household was the household that everybody came to. Mm-hmm. We were the resource in the community for adults and children. And I recognize as an adult now that I watched my grandmother doing social work. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where my heart and my passion came from, just how I was raised in giving back and serving others.
I love that. That's a great answer. And that's awesome that it's became like a passion for you, maybe not your initial path, but kind of thinking back to where you started, that you kind of ended up where you were supposed to be.
Exactly.
I think that's great. So we'll get into more of the technical stuff. How long have you been with Guilford County, and what is your role here?
So I have been with the county for 31 years. I'm actually the division director for Aging and Adult Services, but I spent 26 years of my 31 years in children's services. I came in, as I indicated, my academic background, my degrees are in criminal justice. And my first position was a community block grant for juvenile delinquents. Okay. And so that was my introduction into social services. And I started in children's services doing that and just made my way up from social worker into a supervisor and a program manager. And then this opportunity presented itself for me to become the division director for Aging and Adult Services. And I believe it happened at the right time. And so I've been in this role. It will be 5 years in July.
Okay, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So children's services is a lot different than aging adult services. So coming from working in that part of social services, which I think people most likely relate to that when they hear social services, they think of kids. And so how can you kind of talk to people about what aging adult services is and how that's different from child services?
So with my going from children to aging, I also took a lot of the myths with me that it was similar. Social work, the aspect of social work is similar in how you work with people and you provide case management, but the parameters around aging and adult services is totally different than children's services. In children's services, because children do not have the right to self-determination under the age of 18, there are certain things that have to be provided for children that we must take into account when protecting children. On the aging and adult services side, anyone over the age of 18 that may have a disability may come into contact with aging and adult services, but that population has a right to self-determination, meaning that if they do not lack capacity, if there are no issues with competency, they have a right to determine how they want to live. And sometimes that is difficult to navigate.
Yeah, I could see how that could be hard. So is that something, self-determination, that's a term that's figured out before they come to get services at social services, or will they come and seek services and that's something that people can help them figure out?
That's something we evaluate, in particular with adult protective services cases, that we have to determine if there is an issue with capacity, then there are certain instruments or tools that we do to assess a person's level of capacity. And if we determine that they don't lack capacity, if they do have capacity to make their own decisions, then they can live the way they want to. We walk into some horrific living conditions, and for social workers, it is difficult to walk away when the person does have capacity, because you see that they may be living in an injurious environment. They may be living in a situation where it's a hoarding situation. deplorable situation, but if they have capacity, they have the right to live that way, and they have the right to say to us, we don't want your service, and we have to walk away from that.
And I guess that kind of takes me into my next question. It's the aging adult that's going through it. It's hard on them, but also on their family members or the people that are around them that may support them or may have contact with them. So what are some signs that family members can look for to, I don't know if I should say prevent, but to kind of just look around for that maybe their aging adult in their life needs help or needs services?
One of the biggest factors that I try to talk with people about is isolation. As you know, working adults, there are times that we want to be isolated. We want to go into our homes and shut the world out. But for an older adult who may no longer work, whose children may no longer live with them, isolation is a big factor. And so just having a conversation, if you have an older adult in your life or you know an older adult, having conversations with them around, who do you talk to on a regular basis? Does anyone come to see you, or is your family involved? Do your children come and check on you? And start there with a conversation with the person. Isolation is a big factor. If you see a person go from being well kept to looking like they may be neglected, that's a risk factor. If you are familiar with a person's resources and you see them go from being able to manage their finances to lacking finances, that's a red flag. Has somebody entered into their life that may be now exploiting them? And a lot of exploitation comes from loneliness. Those people who scam individuals, they know a population of people who are isolated, who often don't have people checking in, and they study.
How often are you seeing that? Is that something that you're seeing more now, more of the scamming with the elderly population?
Yes, absolutely. And not all of those cases rise to the level of an APS case, but we do receive cases where people are being financially exploited. Yes.
So can you walk me through what would happen if somebody was coming in to report an adult services case or need? Can you walk me through what that looks like?
Sure. We receive reports various ways. We have people who literally walk into our office and we will send an intake worker down to take the report. We receive them by mail, where people will send a letter. We receive them by email. We receive them by telephone call. We receive from community individuals as well as community agencies such as law enforcement, EMS, or hospitals are some of our biggest reporters. And so once we receive a report where somebody presents us information with allegations of a person being either abused, neglected, and or exploited, then we have workers who actually take those reports. They ask them a set of questions that we ask everyone in order for us to determine if it rises to the level of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. So there's a set of criteria that have to be met in order for us to screen in a report. Number one is the person 18 years or older? We have to meet that criteria first. Then we have to meet, are they disabled? And we don't go by the definition of disabled that they receive a Social Security disability check. It could be a cognitive disability, a physical disability, but do they present with a disability? So once we meet those two criteria, the next criteria is the allegation of abuse, neglect, and or exploitation and what the person tells us. Once we meet that criteria, then the final criteria is the person, the adult, able, willing, or responsible for their care? Or is there another person who is willing, able, or responsible for the person's care? If the answer to that question is no, then we screen the case in. It's not a situation of or for each of those four questions. It is and all four have to be met for us to screen in a report of an APS report on an adult. That is sometimes difficult for the public to understand, because you may have one element or two elements, but you don't have all four.
You have to have all four.
You have to have all four. And so people often get frustrated. Well, what does it take for an APS report to come in? Well, these are state mandates that we operate by, not Guilford County, and those four elements have to be met.
So is there something that you could say to caregivers or people working with the aging adult population that are dealing with these things, but they don't meet the four criteria and they have to go back home with their aging adult? Is there something that...
So we actually do have the ability to make referrals in some of the reports that we screen out. If there are allegations that rise to the level of domestic violence, then we often make referrals to our Family Justice Center partners for them to take a look at the case. There is also a new program, a collaboration that we have with Guidance Carolina, where we secured a $1.5 million 3-year grant from the ACL that helps us work with some of these cases where a navigator can be assigned and can go out and explore a little more, whereas we couldn't accept it as an APS case, but they may be able to put someone in place that can go out and work with the family.
That's a good segue into what I was going to ask next. How important are those partnerships? You just talked about the family justice partnerships. Are there any other partnerships within the county that you feel like are super important to making aging adult services
We thrive on collaboration. We absolutely love it. It is essential to our work in protecting the vulnerable adult population. We probably have one of the strongest multidisciplinary teams in the state. We have a very strong elder justice committee that our multidisciplinary team actually functions under. We were instrumental in drafting and getting legislation change for the MDT. So we were able to get Senate Bill 400 passed through the legislatures. And like I said, we were instrumental. Our EJC team drafted that legislation. We championed it and we got it passed. And that actually enables us to collaborate even better. We are now able to take APS cases to a multidisciplinary team and share information, whereas before, because of the rules of confidentiality, we could not share certain information with our community partners. I think there are about 16 local agencies that are involved on our MDT, and that includes the Family Justice Center, Adult Protective Services, and several of the other areas within the Aging and Adult Services Division. Law enforcement, the district attorney's office, doctors, corporation, Guidance Carolina, and several other community agencies make up our multidisciplinary team.
That's awesome. I know partnerships are important, but I know in your field it's crucial for y'all to have those collaboration partnerships that really work. So how does your team, how do they balance protecting these vulnerable adults while also, this is kind of going back to what we were talking about early, them being able to decide on their own. How do they balance respecting them in their independence and their dignity and their right to make their own decision, but also still giving them service and protecting the vulnerable population that you're working with?
It is a very delicate balance. And it goes back to relationship. We enter people at some of the worst moments in their life. They don't know us, and we really don't know them. We just know what the allegations are. Getting in there, talking to the individual, talking to their family, explaining the resources that are available to them, and trying to offer them a different way of living and surviving and thriving. And that's relationship building. But there are times when people tell us, nope, I don't want your service, that people don't want the government involved in their life. And once again, if they have capacity, they have the right to say to us, no, I don't want your service. And we have to be okay with that. And that is difficult for a lot of social workers to walk away, but we have to.
Yeah, that seems like a hard job to do. And we can go to a kind of, this is about, but a little more personal. Being that you've been working in this field for so long, it's kind of a heavy type of work. What is something that you do to kind of relieve stress, or just do you have a hobby? Do you have something fun that you do to kind of get away from work or get out of your work?
I love to read, and I don't like serious reading. I don't want a self-help book. I don't want anything that's going towards my growth.
So you read like what, comedy, romance?
I love crime.
Oh,
James
nice.
Patterson, Patricia Cornwell are two of my favorite authors, and I love the African American genre of books.
Oh, I love that.
I just finished a couple of books last week. I am still a library girl. I go to the
Yes.
Vance Chavis Library that I grew up walking to, and I still go there because they have a great African American collection of authors and books. So I love to read, and I love to travel. Even last weekend, I just went to Virginia Beach for the day. Drove
nice.
down, met a couple of friends, laid out on the beach, had a good meal, got in the car, and drove back.
Where's your favorite place? Like, where's the favorite?
Puerto Rico
Mine too.
and Hawaii. I haven't decided
love
which
Puerto
one I
Rico.
love better, but I think Puerto Rico is winning.
I had a blast in Puerto Rico.
I love Puerto Rico.
They have, what's the dish? Mofongo.
Yes.
I had
Yes.
an amazing time. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and we have a couple of friends that actually live in Puerto Rico, so we get the tour of the off the beaten path tour. And the places that, the natives, the locals,
the good places.
the good places go to, the beaches that aren't overpopulated with tourists. So I love Puerto Rico.
We'll have to talk after this.
Yes, absolutely.
So for somebody who's listening to the pod today and maybe worried about an older loved one that they have in their life, or somebody who's aging in their life, a neighbor, a church member, or a friend, what's the first step you would tell them to take, or what's some advice that you would give them?
The first step is probably the most difficult step, is having that conversation with the person. I think often with especially our elders in our community, we often step in and take over without having a conversation in reference to what do they want. Where do they see their life at this point in time? So having that conversation, trying to determine if there are family or friends that are involved. Do they have things that are already lined up? There are adults, older people who have lined up their resources in the appropriate way. They have a power of attorney already. They have the advanced health directive already lined up. They may even have where they want to live as they age. So having that conversation to determine if those things are in place. And if they aren't, once again, determining who does this person go to in a time of crisis. And if they determine that they don't have anyone, then they may become that person for them. Just the person that reaches out, connects with them on a regular basis, checks in on them during inclement weather, gives them a call. Are you okay? Is your power still on? Do you have food? Do you need to go somewhere? Do you need someone to go with you to a doctor's appointment? Just having a connection to someone else is very vital, not just to our vulnerable aging population, but to every single human being. Having that one person that you can connect to and your go-to.
I love that answer. That's a good answer. Before we wrap up the podcast, what is something that you would just leave with Guilford County residents? And also, how can they find out more information? Where can they go to find resources? If you want to drop a website or any, if they just come to social services, kind of talk about that process and how people can get to the place that they need to be.
They can reach out to us through email. They can go on the Guilford County website and see about the resources that Aging and Adult Services provides to the community. We are resource rich in Guilford County. We do have resources for caregivers here. Caregiver Connect is a community program. Wellspring Solutions Memory Care has a caregiver program. And I'm sure there's several senior resources of Guilford, which is also a part of our MDT. They have a lot of resources right here in the community. They can always walk in and ask to speak with a social worker if they have a question about services for the aging population, and we'll be glad to give them that information. And like I said, our Guilford County website is another resource. If a person has a concern about an adult maybe being abused, neglected, or exploited, they can always make a report to our hotline, which is 336-641-3137. That's during normal business hours. If it's after hours on the weekend or a holiday, they can call our 800 number, which is 800-378-5315. If they are concerned about Someone finding out that they made a report, they can make the report anonymously. And by federal law, we cannot give out the information in reference to who made a report. So I go back to the old cliche of if you see something, say something. If you are concerned that somebody may be being abused or they are being neglected, even if it is self-neglect, and that is a category that we actually explore on the age side, that a person may be willing to take care of themselves, but they're not able to anymore, and that's considered as self-neglect. Or if you feel like they are being exploited, please make a report to the APS hotline.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Taking Turns. A special thank you to Laurie Jones for sharing her expertise and highlighting the valuable resources, programs, and services available through DSS to support our aging population and their caregivers. If you found this conversation helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the Guilford County YouTube channel. So be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Taking Turns.